Aloha, friends and neighbors. This is Rollin, an astrologer living in Kona, and we're going to cover last day or two of August and the first week in September 2013 for you when we get to the meat of the show, the sky mirror. But there's some bigger meat in store for us a little bit before we get there, because we got to talk about hurricanes. Yeah, I finally started using the H word, hurricane. Do you know where the word hurricane comes from? It's a Mayan word from the god Huracan, which twirls around on one leg and limps. Twirls around, yes. So anyway, that's where we get our word hurricane. And it looks like we're going to experience one, maybe two, coming up at you. Especially on the Big Island in Maui. I'm not sure about Kauai. Kauai is a few degrees off. Maybe you'll get spared this season, Kauai. Now, near as I can tell, this season is open from about September 4th through the end of September. And it doesn't look like it's going to take the roof off your house, but it does look like there's plenty of public chaos, which means trees fall down. All those Obesia trees over in Hilo-side. And when they fall down on wires and you lose your electricity. So the first level of defense is make sure you have some lights, lanterns, flashlights. I've actually got a couple of old oil burning lanterns that I like, but the battery powered ones are good, and flashlights with plenty of batteries. And you know, if your electricity goes out, so does your cable TV and such, and internet connections, and so a portable radio can be your real good friend when when there's no electricity coming into your house. And finally, if your house is on propane like mine is, just go outside and take a look at the top of the tank. There'll be a gauge on it, and it'll tell you how full the propane tank is. And you're going to use it to cook with and take hot showers with, because the water will be okay. You want to make sure you have enough propane. You can actually call a gas company and ask them to come and top off your tank, if you wish. I would also check your car, because it's nice to go out and sit in the car. If it's hot, maybe it's air conditioned, you got a radio, you got music, it's comfortable. So make sure you got gasoline in your car and your propane tank. Now, the way I figured it, the impetus, the twirling feeling from Huracan, limping and twirling around on one foot, is strongest from about the 13th of September through the 20th. So they're very hard to predict, these hurricanes. Anyway, get ready. Make sure you have some food around, some drinks. It's nice to have a cooler, and go get a bunch of ice if it looks like it's getting close. And last time we had a scare, I found we wanted some playing cards. Yes, some entertainment is nice. You know, when I was a young man, 12, 13, I saved up my paper route money and I got me a 16 gauge double barrel shotgun so I could go duck and pheasant hunting with my father and his friend. And the first time they took me out, Dad kept me way in front of Tim and George, and I'm walking up this levee with my new gun, and I see these three big white snow geese, I think, flying over me pretty low. So I popped one, and up ahead on the levee there was a black guy that was also looking for the barrel. You had to get a permit. They assigned you a barrel. You sat in the barrel and did your duck hunting. Anyway, he saw me pop at it. He turned around, popped at him too, and I did my second barrel, and one of them crumpled and fell down Oh, happy, I got me a snow goose. I ran over there. The black guy run back. Did you get it or did I get it? He said. And about that time, my dad and George caught up with me and looked at us and said, "Oh, be quiet, be quiet. This is, you got a swan." He says, if the game warden saw that, it's a $500 fine. And they'll take your shotgun. How did I know it was a swan? Well, I didn't know a swan from a snow goose. Swans have black feet. If it looks like a duck, and it walks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. And that's the way I feel about hurricane now. I hedged around this for a long time. I did 3 or 4 shows. Every time I do a show, I'd spend an hour or 2 studying the charts. And I haven't spent the time I wanted because I've been down with a couple of bad bugs. And wasn't healthy enough to think very clearly. And now I'm looking at all that work and stuff. I'm ready to jump up and down and shout hurricane a little bit. It's kind of particular to the Big Island. Normally, when the hurricanes make that track across the Pacific, when they hit the Big Island with the big mountains, they shear off to the right or the left. This one looks like it might shear off to the left because Kona's involved, and that's where I live. And I'm not certain that I'm trimming trees around the corners of the house, trying to get those limbs where when the wind comes, boom, and it gusts, bang, 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 the limbs beat on the side of the corner of the house, and they'll beat off the shingles and beat up the covering a little bit, and then wind can get under them and do more. So I'm thinking about wind and how to, in FEMA they have a saying, run from water, hide from wind. So one preparation you can make is to make sure that you don't have things flying around, and that wherever you're going to hang out while the hurricanes go by, and it may just be 50, 60 mile an hour winds with 80, 90 mile an hour gusts, make sure there's nothing going to fly around and bug you. Cars are a pretty good place to be. Car is kind of a little armored vehicle. But that also depends on where the car is, huh? So, one of the things I found out the hard way, like in Aniki, is that even if the hurricane is off a little bit, and it could be, it'll blow limbs down, cut your electricity. What it can also do is it picks up salt water and blows it in to your house, your electronics. I was famous over there after Aniki because my telephone lasted 6 months. Everybody else's telephones, they were gone in a month, 2 months. Microwave ovens, anything with electrics and contacts, and started corroding because the hurricane picks up the salt water and blows it into everything through small cracks too. So one of the most easy things you can do to protect your goods is to get big plastic bags, put them over everything. You don't have to carry stuff around. Put them over your valuables, put your pictures and your books and what you want in a big. Contractor's bags are good. They're 3 mil, but they're expensive. So anyway, bag it. It's something I learned because insurance companies aren't very good about a lot of this stuff. So anyway, we're using the H word. Looks like a duck to me. Come on, let's do the sky mirror. And if it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it sounds like a duck, quack, quack, it's a duck. They weren't quacking, they were honking. We said, what do we do? The black guy and me, and my dad and George says, bury it, quick, bury it. So we used the butts of our shotgun and dug a hole, and we buried that poor bird to avoid the $500 fine over my stupidity. I still don't know if it was me that got it. The black guy was probably 10 years older than me. Maybe he was a better shot. He had a stronger gun. I don't know. Anyway, there's some danger to some of us. And you know what they said, you run from water, you hide from wind. So you don't go out to pick up your lawn chairs when the wind's blowing. Let them blow. You hide from wind. Yeah, it's important. Now, this plastic bag business is so easy. Like I've got a deck here that's worth $900, another deck that's worth $600, a titler that's cranky, but I bought it for $1,200. And you know, carrying them around, I'm not up to that. I throw up my back coughing all these bugs I had. But you can bag them in place. You can put a bag around these things and then tightly close it. I found out after Aniki that even some stuff that I put in a suitcase, put my cherished photos in a suitcase, you know, a 60, 80 mile an hour wind blows the salt water into the suitcase. So you bag the suitcase in a plastic bag and make sure it's tightly closed. The contractor's bags are great for big stuff, but it doesn't have to be strong so much as it has to be windproof. You don't want the wind blowing in the salt water. That's what will save your cherished books and tapes and photos and everything else. So don't move them, just bag them and tape them up tight, the ends. Well, let's take a look at your coming week. Let's look at the next 10 days with the sky mirror and see what's coming up. There's a full moon early Thursday morning at 13 Virgo. Sextiles Jupiter. There's a lot of laughing and mirth and optimism coming up for the month following that full moon. In fact, Mercury sextiles Jupiter. Mercury's kids. Jupiter is laughing and optimism. Friday night, Saturday morning. Coming right up for you. And as far as the next 10 days goes, here's the pattern of planets. The sun's in Virgo, going from 7 to 17 there. Virgo's a very helpful sign, you know. It's the sign of the helper. Virgo folks like to help people. So after you have that new moon Wednesday, you feel like helping people, do it. It sextiles Jupiter. So here's our pattern of planets. It's noticeable that Mars, towards the end of your next week, Mars hits 8 Leo, squares Saturn at 8 Scorpio. Ugh, the two malefics. It's going to get mean. But where are you at right now? If you're in the Thursday show, the moon's in Gemini. When you wake up Friday morning on August 30th, the moon's gone into Cancer. And there's a nice trine to Neptune. There's music. There's inspiration. By the middle of the day in the